Hey everyone! Welcome to our Q&A series where I share with you my helpful tips and answer your burning health questions. Today we are discussing my thoughts on supplements, GMOs, the Candida diet, and ways to get your kiddos to eat their veggies. The first question asks, what are your thoughts on supplements? This is a great question and a question I could write a whole book on with answers. Simply stated, supplements are wonderful and are an amazing tool we are lucky to have. But you must remember one thing when it comes to supplements. That is, you cannot out-supplement a bad diet. If you think that taking supplements will buffer a diet full of sugar, breads, and processed foods, you are sadly mistaken. I am a strong advocate for obtaining as many nutrients from food as possible. Humans are adapted to getting nutrients from food, and foods contain many cofactors and enzymes required to absorb those nutrients. However, certain nutrients are difficult to obtain even in the context of a healthy diet, such as vitamin D and magnesium, or B12 if you eat vegan, and supplementing with them indefinitely may be necessary. Next, I would like to discuss a few key reasons some people might want to consider taking supplements. The first reason has to do with food not being like it used to be. The second a food is harvested, the nutrients begin to degrade. This is why it is always beneficial to look for local foods. 100 years ago, almost all food was local. Now, it is possible to get foods from the other side of the world. The second reason is for digestive issues. And come on, who doesn't have this these days? Most clients I see have some sort of digestive issue. If you go into any drugstore, you are sure to find multiple products for digestive issues. Our digestive tract is where we break down and absorb the food we eat. If this system is not working, we won't absorb all the nutrition in the food. Finally, in our modern world, it is impossible to avoid all the chemicals we encounter every day. Our liver detoxifies chemicals that enter the body. The liver does this using a complicated enzyme system that breaks down the toxins into harmless substances. The enzymes require nutrients to carry out their job. Therefore, the more toxins we consume, the more nutrients we need. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, larvicides, hormones, and antibiotics from non-organic foods require more nutrition to detoxify. When it comes to purchasing supplements, I highly suggest going to a trusted source such as a health food store. Never turn to large warehouses like Costco and Target, which don't ensure quality brands free of fillers and other additives like artificial dyes and flavors. I do feel that the downfall of having supplements readily available is that many people think that they can self-prescribe correctly. The next question we have comes from Elizabeth, who asks, how long do I have to stay off fruit because I have yeast issues? The length of time on a Candida diet depends on the length of time one has had symptoms and the severity of the symptoms. The general level of health is another important factor that needs to be taken into consideration. People who do respond to the diet often report that it takes a minimum of 4 weeks before any improvement is noticeable. For many, it may take months. Once there is sufficient improvement in symptoms, you may slowly reintroduce foods from the restricted list back into your diet. I want to make clear that there is much more to reducing a Candida overgrowth than completely avoiding fruit, since an overgrowth in the first place results from poor digestion and a leaky gut, not simply the consumption of fruit sugar. Therefore, correcting the root cause will have lasting results in the long run. I am well aware of the Candida guidelines you will find in books and online that tell you must avoid all fruit. However, avoiding X, Y, and Z along with drugs and creams are only a temporary fix when the source of the problem, gut imbalance, is not addressed head-on. The best diets for healing and sealing the gut wall and permanently rebalancing the gut environment are the GAPS diet or the very similar specific carbohydrate diet. Wallie wants to know if organic vegetables are genetically modified. Organic is a labeling term that indicates that the food or other agricultural product has been produced through approved methods. The best part of buying organic is that the use of GMOs is prohibited in organic products. This means an organic farmer can't plant GMO seeds, an organic cow can't eat GMO corn, and an organic soup producer can't use any GMO ingredients. The last question we have comes from Martina, who wants to know how she can introduce veggies into her 10-year-old's diet. I'm going to pretend that the 0 after the 1 in your child's age is just a typo, and you are actually trying to introduce veggies into your 1-year-old's diet. Okay, I will stop daydreaming and provide my best solutions to help get your 10-year-old, and any adult for that matter, to eat their veggies. One of the main reasons people don't like vegetables is because they try to eat them plain. If you're just starting out, this is one of the worst things you can do. Most people don't have the taste buds for a plate of steamed broccoli or spinach, and why should you have to suffer through that for the sake of your health? The thing I did most when I started eating healthier was put vegetables into things I already ate. Broccoli mixed in with macaroni and cheese, chopped carrots mixed in with seasoned noodles or rice mixes, and frozen spinach added to a can of soup are just a few examples. This is a great way to introduce veggies into your diet, where the flavors of the other foods you eat them with help them taste better and less noticeable. Start by adding small amounts of veggies to your standard meals, and as your taste buds adapt, you can add more and more. Kids love to dunk and therefore may be more inclined to grab a green bean or carrot stick if a delicious dip is involved. Whip up a batch of homemade ranch and pair it with crunchy vegetables to capture their interest and appetite. Kids and adults' passion for pizza is practically universal, so adding a few vegetables into the mix may not be met with too much of a grumble. If you have skeptics in the house, start with jazzing up your sauce, like in this recipe, before making vegetables visible and using them as a pizza topper. Start with adding a small amount of a favorite vegetable and increase over time. Perhaps one day they'll be the ones asking for the broccoli pie instead of you. Here are more ways to sneak vegetables into kids' food. Feel free to pause at this slide to have a better glance. Getting your child involved in healthy eating from the start is a great idea. Let them help you choose recipes and then put them to work. Preschool children can tear up lettuce leaves, pull herbs off the stem, and cut soft foods like bananas with a spoon. Older children can knead pizza dough, measure ingredients, and wash vegetables. To give your older children more experience in the kitchen, send them to a cooking class for kids. Growing your own food is another great tip I have. For kids, watching something go from seed to edible plant is nothing short of magical, and you don't need a full-blown farm to experience the wonder. A planter box of kale, a couple zucchini seedlings, or a potted tomato plant are enough to get kids interested in vegetables in a way that they might not be otherwise. Once your plant is ready for harvest, invite your kids into the kitchen to cook with your garden's bounty. Zucchini bread may suddenly be a whole lot more interesting if it's made with squash they grew themselves. Adding vegetables to dips is an easy way for kids to fall for them. Plus, those veggies often go under the radar in a tasty dip. Try adding cooked sweet potato to ordinary hummus, or pull out a ripe avocado for some guacamole. Children will learn far more from what you do than what you say. If your children see you eating and enjoying nutritious food, they will be more likely to do so. It is confusing to children to tell them to eat fruits and vegetables if they see you eating junk food. These are just a few of many ways to get your children eating their veggies. If you have any tips or tricks not mentioned, please share by leaving a comment below. Thank you everyone for submitting your questions. If you have more questions related to the topics covered today, or different questions you would like answered, please email kinseyvd@immunolabs.com.